Hello, welcome back. My name is Johan from Economia and I know what you are thinking about. Why is this guy speaking about Japan? Fair enough. I've arrived in Japan 25 years ago in 1998 and since then I've lived and worked here. To be honest, I've spent most of my life in this country except a very short 5-year stint in Singapore. During that time, I've lived among my colleagues, friends and my spouse and learned a lot about the way of life in Japan, and I never thought about talking what we are talking about today because it seems so natural to me, and looking on the internet I realized you might be interested. So that's why today we're going to talk about how Japanese people are able to save so much money despite having very low economic growth since the 1990s, an anemic, completely anemic stock market, deflation followed by inflation in the past year, and really flat wage increase. And despite all of that, they are in the top league in terms of household saving in the OECD. How do they do that? You might wonder. It all comes from a 100-year-old technique called Kakeibo. What's Kakeibo, might you ask? And why is it relevant to me? If you're struggling to put together a balanced budget and keep your finances in order, and you've tried every possible ways, from Dave Ramsey to Robert Kiyosaki to Sue Orman, and it's still not working, then maybe this new or relatively new method for you might help you put things in order. So let's get started. Kakeibo loosely translates into Family Finance Ledger. It was put forward by Motoko Ani in 1904. Motoko Ani is widely considered as being the first female journalist, and she really put this forward as a way to responsibilize women and to put them forward in Japanese society, especially as Japan was embarking in its policy of colonization. A lot of men went to war, and it was a way for Japanese women to be more important and to contribute more into Japanese way of life and to save money, because most of the money was going towards the war effort and there was very little money to go around. So it was so important to be able to manage and save as much as possible. For the little story, Ani Motoko was actually born in the prefecture of Aomori in northern Japan, in the town of Hachinohe, and the town of Hachinohe is where my mother-in-law came from. So it's actually very close to home. It's actually a very simple to use method to balancing your income and your expenses for your everyday life. There is no fancy calculation. It's really down to regular habit and changing your mindset. If you're already able to manage your money, put some aside and invest regularly, then honestly, you're not going to learn anything absolutely revolutionary from this video. Just maybe a new approach that you're going to find interesting. On the other hand, if you have every month issues in balancing your budget and you feel that you're overspending or your debt is increasing, this very simple approach might be able to help you. And to be very honest, this is the most difficult thing to do, because when we're talking about finance and managing our budget, this is something that's really emotional, that's linked to what we learn from our parents or of our friends, and changing money habits are some of the most difficult habits to change. So this approach might be able to help you. It's going to take time, it's not easy, but the fact that you're watching this video already tells me that you're ready to take this step forward. And if Japanese people have been able to use this approach for the past 119 years, and despite all the economic data that I gave you, and are still able to put money on the side, it should be able to help you as well. First, what is Kakeibo? Well, here you are. Two different formats of Kakeibo. If you go anywhere in Tokyo, in any bookshop, you're going to find many different versions. And if you go on Amazon, as you can see right now, it's everywhere, or Rakuten, the same. It's really an everyday staple. The key is to sit down, take your Kakeibo, open it, and start using it. Surprising, right? It's about making a commitment to understanding what you're using your money for and to save money for the future. When you start using your Kakeibo, and honestly at the beginning of every month as well, you should start by asking yourself those 4 simple questions. How much money do I have? How much money do I want to save? How much money am I spending? How can I improve? Those simple questions are going to set you up for a successful month every single month? Now that you know about those questions and you've asked them to yourself, it's time to get started. You take your Kakeibo, whichever Kakeibo you have, you open it up, you take a pen, here I have mine, and you start by writing your income and all the expenses that you think you're going to have for this month, and you can add up as they come up. And now you're asking yourself, do I really have to write it down? This is the 21st century after all. There are so many apps and spreadsheets and so many tools I could be using to be doing that rather than writing on paper. That's good, but listen up. Research has proven times and times again by the fact of writing things down has a different effect on your psyche. You become aware of how much income you have. It becomes real. You're becoming aware of how much expenses you have every month. And this starts training your brain to understanding where you are and caring a little bit more about where the money is going. It sounds like a little thing, but it's actually the beginning of changing your mindset, as we discussed just a few minutes ago. Let me continue by showing you how to actually put this into practice. First, your expenses should be divided into three main categories: the needs, the wants, and the extras. The needs is really your living expenses, what you cannot live without. The wants is the nice to have, but you don't really need it. And the extras is everything that may come up that you don't know about, but you should basically prepare for. The emergencies, basically. First, let's look at the needs. The needs are grocery, lodging, utilities, healthcare and insurance, transportation, debt repayment, maybe education, and of course, a bit of entertainment. Looking at the wants, it's dining out, it's seeing friends, and buying new things. The unexpected is obviously the money you want to set aside for any emergency, the car breaking down, any leak in the house, or maybe a window that's broken. Then you need to have your saving goals. Yes, saving goals. You already have an expense goal, so you need a saving goal, because if you reduce your expenses, then you can save more. And you have to sit down every week, take your Kakeibo, your pen, and write everything down based on all the expenses. And if you see that some expenses are going over that week, then you can adjust immediately rather than waiting until the end of the month and realize you are in trouble. This is this granular approach that makes a difference. By now you've understood that it's much more than just writing expenses on a piece of paper. It's just a process for you to change your approach to money, to spending, and to saving. So how do you actually reduce those unwanted spend, those wants, because the needs, you can't reduce them that much, can you? So basically, every time you have a want coming up, there are a few questions you could ask yourself to try to reduce the need for buying it. Can I live without this item? Based on my financial situation, can I really afford it? Will I actually use it? Do I have the space for it? Was I in a good emotional state? Was I stressed? Was I completely relaxed? Was I celebrating? Or did I have a very bad time at work? And buying it, does it make me happy? Or will I completely forget about it within 2 weeks? Those are good questions to ask yourself when you're considering buying something that you don't exactly need, but you feel like buying anyways. Besides these questions, there are other tips that you should be considering that might help you achieve your monthly Kakeibo goals and your annual goals as well. Those tips are coming from Sarah Harvey from CNBC, and I completely adhere to them. So let me read them for you. I will need my glasses and my computer because there are 6 of them and they are quite precise. Let's start with the first one. Leave the item for 24 hours. I prefer 48 hours because 2 full days gives you a lot of time to think about everything, but if 24 hours works for you, well, why not? The second one is interesting as well. Don't let blowout sales tempt you. It's tempting, right, when you have sales coming up or marketing emails coming up. But a good question to ask yourself is whether or not you would have bought this item at full price as well because you actually need it, or you're just being tempted because it looks cheap. That's a good way to approach as well. Let's look at number 3. Number 3 is check your balance regularly. I kind of like that because it's really close to Kakeibo. Basically, is regularly checking how much money you have, how much money you're spending, and are you going toward your spending goals and saving goals. If you're seeing that you're a bit tight this week or this month, maybe you'll be less tempted to buy something you don't need, because it's going to remind you what you're aiming for. It's going to put you back in the right state of mind, and you might avoid those unwanted expenses. Number 4, spend in cash. This is quite interesting because actually if you're spending in cash, it's in your wallet. You're opening your wallet, you're looking at the cash, and if you don't have cash, basically you cannot buy the thing that you wanted to buy, like this. Actually, we don't go with so much cash around these days. Even in Japan, that used to be a cash-based society, is turning away from cash. There's a lot of mobile wallets and a lot of debit cards. I prefer debit cards personally because it's the same as cash. If you don't have the money on your bank account, you are not going to be able to spend it. Put a reminder in your wallet is number 5. This one, I really like it because I didn't think about it, is when you open your wallet, you put a little post-it, a little reminder on your credit card or your debit card. Do I really need this? Whatever the little sentence you put to make you open and think before putting the card out. The last one is thinking about what the state of mind you are in and how you came about to actually think about buying. This is really linked to the previous one. How are you feeling at the time you are knowing about this item and when you are about to buy this item? Are you feeling great? Did you have a good day? And you feel that everything is going well and you're just checking something to buy, maybe to reward yourself for having been so good with your finance? Or are you down? Is there something wrong at work? Did you have any problem in relationship? You're not feeling so well and just trying to look for a way to escape and make yourself feel better. This is very important because if you are not feeling so well, you might be more tempted into buying something you don't need. How you're feeling, what's your state of mind at the moment of purchase. This is really, really important, and revert back to everything we've talked about until now about being mindful and aware about how you manage your money. And of course, all of this doesn't mean that you should be feeling miserable and not use your money. If you're doing well and achieving your goal, you should reward yourself. Go for a nice meal, go find your friends, buy this pair of shoes that you've been saving for so much time, because the goal is not to become athletic and not spending any money and being isolated at home. The goal is to be aware of your finance, to becoming a master of your finance and not think about where did the money go. Is knowing where the money is going, because you decide where the money is going and you decide how much money you are saving every month for your future. The art of Kakeibo is about changing your mindset about money, understanding how you spend it so you buy only what you need and save for your future. And generally speaking, being wiser about managing your finances. By doing so, you'll be less stressed about money and you'll have more headspace to be able to concentrate on what's important, like your family, on your personal development. If you're interested about similar approaches, I have this video about money mistakes and that video about baby step millionaires. If you like this video or learned something, please give it a like. Do not hesitate to subscribe for more videos to come, and if you have anything to share, do not hesitate to leave it down below in the comments. Thank you again, and until next time, goodbye.